The first place I want to take you is Daniel chapter 2. Daniel was a prophet back in old Babylon, and the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, had a dream that really disturbed him terribly. It was a dream of a giant statue that had a head of gold, then it went to silver, and then brass, and then finally iron, and feet of iron and clay. And he sent for his wise men, none of whom could answer the mystery of what the statue meant, except one. His name was Daniel. Daniel could interpret it and even knew what the dream was because the God of this universe had told him what it was. And so Daniel went forth to the king of Babylon and interpreted a dream. And it's a very important dream because it gives us a general outline of biblical prophecy. The head of gold, he said, was Babylon. That's you, Nebuchadnezzar. And down below that is going to be Medo-Persia. That's going to be the next kingdom that's going to rise up after you. And then is going to come another kingdom called Greece. And then will come another kingdom, Rome. And then it deteriorates. As you'll notice, the metals decrease from gold to silver, brass, iron, clay. The deterioration of man, his descent downward into chaos, the 10 toes of iron and clay. Now, without going into a great big dissertation, it's very easy to see that Babylon came up, Medo-Persia, Greece, then Rome. Rome divided really into two parts. The Gentile nations spread across the world. Israel, remember, is always in the center of Bible prophecy. And in the end, we'd have a confederation or a federation of 10 regions. But it makes a very interesting statement. It says that the 10 toes you saw were of iron and clay. And then it makes a most interesting statement about that the iron and the clay don't mix because the seeds don't mix with mankind. We're going to focus on the clay and the iron. Because if you take up the rest of the Bible and you understand the premise from which it's coming from, especially Jesus Christ, who said that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be again. Now I want you to pay close attention to the fact that the seeds don't mix together. They try to mix them, but they don't mix. Genetically, they cannot make a match, so they don't mix. They come up with hybrids. But who are the they? Well, Jesus Christ told us who the they are. He said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be again just before I return. In the days of Noah, the sons of God, the fallen angels, came down. You'll find it in Genesis chapter 6. And they saw that the women of men were fair. They mated with these women, and they produced a race of hybrids. They produced a race of hybrids because iron and clay do not mix. The seeds cannot truly intermingle. You come up with something radically dangerous and radically different. There's another name given to them in the Bible, Cockatrices. If you saw our Gateway Series 1, 2, and 3, you know exactly what we're talking about when we talk about the cockatrice. In other words, what Jesus Christ is telling us in plain language is, as we approach the time of the end, the sons of God are going to return. They are fallen angels, according to the Bible, posing as extraterrestrials. The book of Enoch goes into great length about who these fallen angels actually are and how they came down and manifested themselves in various shapes and various forms to fool mankind. They posed as beings from the stars. All you have to do is read the ancient literature. Ancient literature is full of all of these so-called entities that came down from the stars, mated with mankind, and produced a race of hybrids. May sound fantastic to you, but it's true nonetheless. This is what the Bible claims. This is what it says. This is what the book of Enoch says. And the book of Enoch is actually quoted from in Jude of the Bible. In the book of Enoch, he claims that these many various forms and shapes were still one entity. Fallen angels came down to deceive mankind, came down to deceive the entire human race, setting up at that time, way back, thousands of years ago, setting up a foundation wherein at the last time, in the final days, when all of the ancient literature was finally unearthed and understood, it would lay the foundation for the strong delusion that God said he was cast down, because they rejected the truth of creation and accepted the truth of evolution. You cannot have evolution and creation side by side. It doesn't work. It just flat does not work. Now, I know there are a lot of people who say, well, why couldn't God use evolution as his tool for creation? Well, actually, he could have. But the scriptures say he didn't. The scriptures say he created everything perfect. Everything was good. And then a curse was put upon the entire universe, not just planet Earth, but the entire universe. And it will remain in effect until 6,000 years from Adam and Eve. Now, a lot of people laugh at the story of Adam and Eve and say that's not possible. Pack lies, it's a myth. The world, after all, has been proven to be millions of years old. The Bible does not teach that the earth is 6,000 years old. It only teaches that Homo sapien, you and I, as we are known today, is only 6,000 years old, or approximately 6,000 years old. It doesn't say the earth is 6,000 years old. In fact, it implies the earth is much, much older. And the fact that they're digging up remains of beings that are dating, by carbon dating, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years old, they aren't Homo sapien. The Bible implies very, very strongly that there was a race of entities back here on earth, not Homo sapien, but similar to us, on the earth long before Adam and Eve. And the world came into a state of chaos and destruction and ruin, and then was cleaned up, and mankind was created. The world that was before was, in fact, a world owned and operated and controlled by none other than Satan himself. Satan originally was not a fallen angel. Satan originally was the most intelligent of all the created beings of God. It wasn't until he decided to challenge God that the fall came into existence. Anyway, getting back to Daniel chapter 2, we come down through history, Rome, we divide the world, we come into a federation which is run by the United Nations of all things, and behind the United Nations stands what the Bible simply refers to as mystery. Mystery is very, very important because mystery is tied directly into the occult, and they have tapped into the powers of Satan. And so you see, you have to be extremely careful in these end times, because Jesus said a great deception was coming, a strong delusion so effective that almost the entire human race is going to fall for it. In other words, this thing is going to manifest itself in time and space as material proofs that are going to fool the world into thinking that the Bible was totally misinterpreted, if true at all, and that Jesus Christ was not who he said he was. Why would God do that? Simply because mankind rejected it over and over and over again. So I'm not preaching at you. I'm not trying to preach at you. It's up to you. Every individual on planet Earth has to make up their own minds whether the Bible is true or false. And the only reason you have to do that is because the Bible says you have to. The Bible itself lays down an exclusive claim like no other religious book in the world. I have studied the world religions at length. I did it actually before I became a Christian because I'm a skeptic. I want proof. And Jesus in the Bible tells you not to accept his word, but challenge his word. That if you would challenge his word and search it out with all of your heart, all of your mind, and all of your soul, you would actually find out that his gospel was of God and of the cosmos, not of planet Earth or of mankind. It's a radical gospel. It's a gospel that's not understood even by the modern church. Bible prophecy says that the modern church of the last days is a deceived, unsaved church. They're not regenerated, they only claim it. The modern church is not the picture of true Christianity. True Christianity has been buried by an organization that is called Christianity.